Hi, friends. Host Eric here. It's talking with famous people. I'd like to respond to this. DV Sounder 7. I think you were writing this off way too quickly without looking at the dangers that modern relationships can bring to especially young men these days. I certainly don't agree with all sentiments held by the MG Tau community, but they do raise valid points and observations about the nature of Western women and the current state of gender relations. Fact of the matter is, men and masculinity are constantly demonized by the third-rate feminist PC culture that's overtaking the West, and it's taking a huge toll on millennial men. By the way, just for the record, MG Tau doesn't equal give up women. It's about self ownership. There's a documentary made by a former feminist who was exposed to the truth called The Red Pill. Definitely worth a look. Okay, so let me respond to this and explain what the problem here is. This comment is indicative of a cognitive failing that is very common, vastly more common than it is absent. So, the people who don't have this cognitive failing vastly are outnumbered by those who do, by a huge margin. So you're not by yourself here, DV, sound, or whatever you want to call yourself. The mistake here is a reification fallacy. You are attributing to non-agents impacts that only agents can attain. And what that means is these terms that you use aren't real things. Let's look at them. The MG Tau community. That's not a real thing. It doesn't have a position. It can't hold sentiments. It's a group. Now, there may be certain language or documentation or words that represent examples of community discourse, but there is no set of sentiments held by the community at all. Each member of the community may be considering themselves a member of the community because they hold certain sentiments in common with others, but there is not a way that the community holds a sentiment, and this is important to note. Even if it's not definitive right now, you'll see where I'm going with it eventually. They do raise valid points and observations about the nature of Western women. This phrase right here, the nature of Western women, and the current state of gender relations. These are make-believe notions that don't mean anything, okay? What do I mean they don't mean anything? I mean they mean absolutely nothing. The nature of Western women. This is a group that you are describing. Except I've never dealt with Western women. I went out with Chris Lee. I was married to Melinda. I was married to Candace. I dated some other chicks in between. Each of them was an individual, human being, not a Western woman. If she exemplified similar attributes to other women in the West, then so too do I display similar attributes to other men in the West. And there's no disputing that issues of masculinity and femininity are present in the world, things to consider, things to manage. But that and there's no disputing that certain corporate sales avenues or just business sales avenues, like trying to sell all the shit associated with marriages and weddings and stuff like that. I don't disagree that it's unwise to spend a lot of money on a wedding when you're 20 something. I don't disagree that it makes sense to have some sort of fiscal severance. I mean, look, I'm somebody who's about to begin his second life, basically. The first one being Delilah's birth and upbringing. I guess the third life, really, or the fourth, maybe. I kind of had childhood, I had young adulthood, then I had Delilah time, then I had now. Now, Delilah time was comprised of two wives in there, the birth mother and the actual mother. And then that's all done now. And it's done, and it's time to start life number 2. And here I am waiting for it to begin. I mean, it's already begun, right? The point is, you're going to tell me stuff about the state of gender relations in the West. All right, I agree dating is fucked up. I agree with you. But guess what this thing affords that I've got here? GTM, the GTM room, the GoToMeeting Raw room, where intuitives, almost exclusively intuitives, with a couple of exceptions, come in and have good, meaningful, heart-to-heart, intuitive conversations with one another, in which honesty is expected, and in which bullshit kind of discursive bullshit is not allowed. And what ruins most sort of communities might form like this is that discursive bullshit is allowed. So as a consequence, we're all walking around in these truncated, incomplete versions of ourselves because we've never had an opportunity to engage, especially if we're intuitives, at a level that we need to formulate ourselves optimally. We've not been provided with this identity sculpting engine that this raw channel has become, the raw room. And as a consequence, it feels awful to try to deal with these mating ritual kind of shit. We've got no means of really talking it out and figuring it out and learning from others. Not really. We have to research on our own. And a lot of us, we'd rather just talk it out with people, whatever it is. And who do we have access to talk it out with? Well, we've got people that we randomly were tossed in with in some sort of geographical, physical congruence that makes things convenient, but that doesn't mean they're the people we ought to be hanging out with. You need that, MG Tau guys. You need that. You need an opportunity to hang out in a setting like the raw room where you're expected, you're held to account. You're held to reciprocal burdens. You're not allowed to dismiss people as members of a group. The women in the raw room are not Western women. They don't reflect the state of gender relations. They're human beings trying to interact with other human beings. It can be a challenge sometimes to navigate the communicative difficulties between a man and a woman because there are legitimate differences between the sexes. And I'm not disputing that. When homie here talks about third wave feminists, blah, blah, nobody fucking cares about them. They're just like a convenient scapegoat enemy thing for you. Obviously, people who think whatever stupid ass shit you could point to are thinking stupid ass shit. We're all stupid about something, okay? I am too. You're stupid about this, and you should stop. Why? Because have an opportunity to do what I'm talking about. Hang out in a room with men and women, talking to each other like human beings, respecting each other, and not disallowing the possibility that shit goes there, potentially, as individuals choose, consensually, with expectations that are clearly defined in terms of limits, and that are then relaxed upon as per the two individuals engaging with one another, individual human beings, not the individual guy and the example of Western women, not the dude who behaves normally with other dudes and then this complicated matter of gender relations. That's why you don't have good relationships with women, because it's not your fault exactly. It's not any of our fault. We've never had the opportunity to actually sit down with a bunch of friends who really understand, somebody among them understands, a bunch of really smart people, really smart intuitive people, to construct the various narratives we need and to be held to account to the discursive burdens we bear when we speak. If we don't adhere to the discursive burdens we bear when we speak, then we are doomed. And that's why, number one rule, no dishonest bullshit slides. That's what this is dishonest bullshit. It's a cognitive fallacy. I mean, it's a fallacy. It's a cognitive failing, a reification fallacy across the board, and a desire to reduce individuals to members of groups and treat them as such, which is reprehensible and should be avoided at all costs. Don't worry about Western women. Worry about this person you're talking to. If she happens to be a woman and you like her and she happens to be in the right demographic and you've got genuine concerns about financial commitment and stuff like that, then talk that out openly, fairly, in which all manner of epistemology is balanced equally, where her feelings are considered and her thinking and your feelings, where the TE or extroverted thinking realities of the world are considered, where the possibilities are considered, the truths are considered, where the memories are considered, the knowledge. Openly, transparently, fairly, through reciprocal burdens. That's what's necessary. It's communication. What you're engaging in is a cutting off of communication when you're saying that this group of people can be reduced to a group of people and they don't need to have a They don't need to be considered individuals, and therefore communication from individuals whom I designate as a member of that group can be dismissed in some fashion. It's weak. It's some weak ass shit. It's the only way to put it. It's weak shit. It's hard to go and be somebody who is either been burned by women or who's not ever been able to be successful with women, who has been led on by women or tricked or something, because we don't, for whatever reason, a man is not endowed with that fundamental understanding of how to deal with mating shit. Well, one way or the other. It's hard to be that guy and come out of there not angry. But be angry at the person, the individual person. Don't take your anger at Jenny and be angry at Kimberly about it. It's not Kimberly's fault that Jenny fucked you over. And Kimberly is another human being. I could be fucked over by a former employer like Bob or something. It doesn't mean I'm going to hate all men or all employers. Nor am I going to reduce them to a specific set of attributes that I assign to a group and then say, you must be those attributes. And that's fundamentally what you're doing, and it's fucked up. So fuck that shit, fuck that noise, pow, 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 pow. And that's one to grow on.